Beneath our cities lies another world, older than the concrete, older than the cables, older even than the pipes that pulse like arteries beneath our feet. It is dark, it is silent, it is alive. Down there, in the forgotten veins of the urban sprawl, the rats live without permission, but not without purpose. They've adapted to our chaos, learned our schedules, navigated our waste like a cartographer reads a map. In New York City alone, they number in the millions. That's more rats than some countries have people, and that's just one city, one pocket of darkness in a world of concrete caverns. Rats don't need much to thrive. A corner of warmth, a scrap of food, a moment without movement. Their lives are short, but their legacy spreads fast, faster than ours, faster than we notice. A female rat can give birth to 12 pups at once, and in just 5 weeks, those pups begin breeding. That's how a quiet tunnel becomes a nest. That's how a nest becomes a colony, and how a colony becomes a kingdom. They are survivors, more adaptable than us, more coordinated than we'd like to admit, and more invisible than we're prepared for. And while we go about our lives above, checking phones, rushing crosswalks, sipping coffee, something stirs below. Thousands of tiny feet, thousands of twitching noses. They are waiting, and they're growing. In a stairwell, beside a vending machine, beneath a park bench, in broad daylight. You tell yourself it's unusual but harmless. Coincidence? An accident? A one-time thing? Then it happens again and again. Soon, you stop being surprised. They appear on sidewalks, in subway cars, outside apartment doors, and they no longer run when they see you. This is not an invasion with sirens or smoke. There are no announcements, no warnings. Just the steady, silent spreading of something that no longer respects the boundaries we built. They flood alleyways at night. They chew through phone lines and elevator cables. They take over storage rooms, shopping carts, power stations. They multiply without pause, and with no predators to keep them in check. City workers quit. Public parks close. Subways slow, then stop. A distant scratching in the ceiling becomes a nightly routine, and still, we go on, pretending. We step over them on the sidewalks. We raise our voices to drown out the fear. We spray, trap, poison. And they return stronger, smarter, more organized. The city doesn't fall in one dramatic moment. It unravels. One cable at a time. One whisper, one bite. One corner of the map swallowed in fur and silence. This is how it begins. Not with war, but with surrender. And we don't even notice it happening. They've brought it before. And now, they bring it again. Rats have always been silent carriers of death. In the 14th century, they traveled on ships, cloaked in darkness, bearing fleas infected with plague. Over 25 million people gone in silence and rot. And still, we let them stay. In this new world of overrun cities and overflowing nests, disease doesn't whisper, it spreads. Garbage piles high on every corner. Sewers back up into clean water lines. Rats crawl freely through hospital corridors, chewing wires and climbing beneath patient beds. They aren't just scavengers anymore. They're vectors, couriers of mutation and contagion. It starts with a cough in Sao Paulo, a fever in Paris, strange skin lesions in Manila. Doctors search for patterns and find one. Every patient lives near an active infestation zone. Everyone had a rat encounter in the last 30 days. Then it spreads. A new virus, unnamed, unknown, jumps species, human to human, rat to human, pet to owner. Hospitals fill but no longer feel safe. You wait in line, and a rat skitters across the floor. You hear scratching above your bed as you're hooked to a ventilator. Masks return, borders close. But the rats do not care about borders. They live beneath them. They move faster than us. And this time, the plague doesn't come from the sea. It rises from the sewers. And then, the lights begin to flicker, not everywhere, not all at once, just enough to make people look up, just enough to feel the shift. Power grids short out, subway lines shut down without explanation, water turns brown, internet outages become daily routine. What was once a fully functioning city becomes an uneasy machine, glitching, groaning, failing piece by piece. Because now, rats no longer live beneath the city, they live within it. In every wall, every floorboard, every drain. Apartments flood. Not with water, but with fur. Basements become nests. Garbage compactors jam with bones and wire. Even the tallest buildings aren't safe. Penthouse suites are invaded through ventilation shafts. Luxury becomes laughable, and people begin to flee. At first, it's the cautious ones, the ones who read too much news. Then, it's the vulnerable, the sick, the elderly, the parents with infants. Soon, it's everyone who has anywhere else to go. Entire districts are declared uninhabitable. Government tape hangs limp over doorways chewed through by hundreds of teeth. Mailboxes overflow, elevators stall. Traffic lights blink endlessly on empty intersections. In the absence of humans, the rats remain. They move into grocery stores, bus terminals, libraries. They build without plans. They spread without reason. We built these cities to be strong, to stand forever, but we never planned for what grows beneath them. Not war, not fire, just the slow chewing erosion of everything we once believed was permanent. Collapse never comes all at once. It comes softly, in scratches and squeaks. Then, something changes. It begins with observation. A surveillance drone records rats moving in a perfect spiral, not once, but repeatedly. A store's security footage shows them waiting for automatic doors to open, then moving in, one by one. A colony in Berlin avoids poisoned food completely, despite never encountering it before. They aren't just adapting, they are learning. Behavioral scientists begin documenting what they call swarm cognition, a form of distributed intelligence where thousands of individuals act with shared intent, not spoken, not written, but felt. Nests begin appearing in patterns, aligned with human architecture, mirroring our spaces. Rats gather symbolic objects, watches, coins, eyeglasses, as if creating meaning. One abandoned courthouse is found filled with organized rows of rat bones. A ritual? A warning? We begin to ask the unthinkable. Are they studying us? Across cities, rats bypass traps, disarm simple deterrents, and alter their movements based on human activity patterns. They navigate traffic. They evade heat sensors. They retreat just before mass extermination attempts. It no longer feels random. And worse, it no longer feels instinctual. This is not a mind we understand, not centralized, not emotional. It is cold, silent, collective. And in that silence, we sense something deeper, a presence not watching from afar, but from below. Perhaps they were never just surviving. Perhaps they've been preparing, waiting for our walls to crack, waiting for our systems to strain. And now that we're distracted, they begin to move differently. Not like a horde, but like a strategy. Faced with chaos, humanity responds the only way it knows how, with force. Drones sweep through alleys, dropping sonic pulses meant to scatter nests. Poison gas is released into tunnels. Military units are deployed to high-density zones, armed with thermal sensors and flamethrowers. New rat strike teams form across major cities. And for a moment, it seems to work. But only for a moment. Because the rats are not fighting back. They are absorbing, watching, adapting. New poison strains lose effectiveness within days. Drones are outmaneuvered. Sonic weapons grow quieter as rats begin nesting in deeper, insulated layers of the city. They don't resist like an enemy. They flow like water, retreating when threatened, then returning stronger from a new angle. Meanwhile, humans grow exhausted. Budgets collapse. Civilians panic. Aerial footage shows entire neighborhoods left behind, cities still glowing with light, but empty. Occupied only by movement, too fast, too low, too numerous to count. Every attempt to reclaim territory becomes more difficult, not because of numbers, but because it's no longer clear who's in control. Engineers discover tunnels bypassing reinforced barriers. Entire buildings are undermined and sink not from earthquake, but from erosion. The rats don't win through dominance, they win through patience. Every plan we create assumes leadership, communication, strategy, human logic, but what we face beneath us doesn't think like we do. It doesn't feel pain, it doesn't fear death, it doesn't need a reason, it only needs time, and we've given it far too much. Eventually, we stop fighting. The cities we built, the towers of steel and light, are no longer ours, and we know it. We retreat, not in war, but in silence. Families flee to rural towns. Tiny off-grid settlements appear deep in forests, on mountaintops, across open plains. No electricity, no plumbing, no concrete tunnels to carry the threat. They build with wood, grow food above ground, sleep with doors sealed and traps nearby. Children grow up never knowing what a subway is, never stepping into an elevator, never seeing the skyline at night. In the abandoned cities, nature creeps in. Grass breaks through pavement, vines wrap around skyscrapers. And the rats, they flourish. They occupy train stations, climb clock towers, nest in government buildings and shopping malls. But they don't imitate us. They build something new. Unmapped tunnels, organic nests shaped by instinct, not design. Structures that twist and breathe, shifting like coral in the dark. And yet, there's a strange symmetry to it all, a kind of order we don't understand. They leave our ruins untouched, not from reverence, but disinterest. We are no longer a threat, no longer competition. In some regions, myths begin to form. Whispers of the old cities ruled by creatures with a shared mind. Travelers speak of lights moving in spirals beneath abandoned skylines, of eyes watching from rooftops. The rats don't chase us. They don't need to. We left the doors open, and they never plan to leave. But maybe this isn't a prophecy. Maybe it's not a scenario we need to imagine. Maybe it's already happening. You've seen them, haven't you? On the sidewalk, by the tracks, in the alley near your home, picking through the trash like they own it. You've heard them at night, through the walls, the scratching, the shuffling. You told yourself it was nothing, a pipe, the wind, the house settling. But it wasn't. They're here. They've been here the whole time. And while we scroll, sleep, and step over puddles without looking, they're organizing, multiplying, studying us the way we study stars, from a distance, but always watching. What if the cities aren't ours anymore? What if we're just guests on borrowed ground, living in denial, while something older and more patient waits below, not to strike, not to destroy, but simply to replace? And maybe it doesn't even hate us. Maybe it just doesn't need us. Because in a world where everything burns fast and moves faster, only the quiet survives. Not with war, but with waiting. Not with fury, but with numbers. So the next time you hear something in the dark, don't dismiss it. The takeover doesn't start with screams. It starts with silence. And when you finally notice what's moving beneath your feet, you'll realize you're already too late.